Today I want to go over why knowing the cost per lead is actually stopping your business from growing in the real estate industry. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about really 3 key metrics to be able to run and guide your business. Without having clarity on these 3 things, you're kind of like a plane that's trying to fly to Hawaii that doesn't have an instrument panel. So just being off a couple of degrees will put you in a totally different spot. Having these metrics are going to be what drives you from where you are to where you want to be in a scientific, mathematic manner that gives you mathematic certainty. So the first one is your ROI, and I'm sure you've heard that before, but let's break down how to actually get to that. That's your return on investment. Every dollar that I spend has to come back either by itself at a minimum if I'm getting branding as a side effect through like a billboard ad, but preferably with 2, 3, 4, or 5 friends, right? And so that's your return on investment. So the cost per lead is what most agents track, right? If you ask most agents what's your cost per lead, if they do anything significant in especially online marketing, they're gonna have an answer for you. But what you wanna do is you wanna know what your return on that investment is. So you're gonna take and you're gonna look at how much you spent for that campaign. And I'm gonna use a billboard as an example. Let's say you're spending $1,500 per month for a billboard. And with that billboard, you spent $18,000 for the year. If your average commission amount is $9,000, and I'm just using easy numbers for you to get the concept of this very, very quickly, and you've sold 4 deals, right? That's an average of, that's $36,000 back in commissions, and that is a 2x ROI. So from that point on, you know that you can comfortably continue to spend that $18,000 and you're going to get double back. Now that's just an okay ROI. What we want to do is we want to get much higher ones. And in the example of a billboard, if you just got back the $18,000 that you originally spent, that in and of itself would be good enough to continue running that billboard, because you're going to get the branding as a side effect. So the ROI is how much money you got back from that advertising campaign. If we were to break it down into digital advertising, if you were to spend $1,000 a month and you were to get back 1 commission for spending that $1,000 a month, let's say in pay-per-click, for example, that would be an 8x ROI. That's a very good exchange. I always joke and I say even drug dealers don't have that good of a return on investment. And this is something that's legal, right? When it comes to your marketing, you want to make sure you have these numbers clear and you have an understanding of it. So next, let's talk about the next thing to track. And this is where most agents don't have a clue. So understanding this in and of itself is going to put you head and shoulders above, but really being able to track it and dial it in is what's going to give you that roadmap to get to where you're trying to go. And that is going to be your customer acquisition cost. So if you spent $8,000 in marketing and you got back 4 customers, that's a customer acquisition cost of $2,000. That means for every $2,000 you spend, you get back $8,000. That's good business. So you need to understand these numbers. And the way that you figure out your customer acquisition cost is you look at the total amount that's spent on that campaign, and then you divide it by the amount of customers you were able to attract and close successfully into a closed transaction by the amount that you spent. So you need to know from every single campaign what your customer acquisition cost is, and you need to know globally in your entire business what your customer acquisition cost is, because if that goes up too high, that's going to have a downward effect on your profit margin, which you're going to want to start to look around for other forms of media, other things. And what you'll understand in tracking these numbers and tracking this process in this way, you'll start to understand the seasonality that occurs in your business, when the best times to press forward are going to be, when other people aren't advertising and your average cost per lead goes down, your customer acquisition cost goes down, so that you know, hey, it's more of a free runway. There's less noise in the market right now, so I should push forward even though I'm not getting the exact return on investment that I normally do. But in real estate, it's kind of a boomerang effect. What we do today is what pays us 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. And so you have to think a little bit bigger than what the average agent is thinking in order to be able to get these numbers dialed in so that you can have an effective plan to dominate and take over the top spot in your market. So next, let's talk about your cash conversion cycle. And this is one of the things, again, that most agents don't track. It's also one of the things that they're not consciously aware of, but also freaks them out and makes them scared, fearful, and anxious to be able to invest in themselves and invest in their business. Now, the cash conversion cycle is the amount of time it takes from when you spend the first dollar in that campaign until that dollar comes back with its friends, right? And so how long does it take from when you spend that first dollar until you're able to turn it into a return on investment and a successful customer acquisition cost? Most cases in real estate, if you got a customer today, it's going to take you at least 30 to 45 days to turn that into a transaction that's closed, right? And so our cash conversion cycle in the real estate business is longer than in most industries. If you're selling a widget on the internet and you can run an ad and they can go and they can click and they can buy that widget, you're going to have a very short cash conversion cycle, right? And so in real estate, we have to be very aware of this because it can get out of hand quickly and it can also cause us to make inaccurate decisions when we're planning our marketing and we're moving forward to, again, take over and dominate our market. So what you want to look at is the time frame, again, from when you first spend that dollar. So let's say that you spent that on today's date to when you actually get a successful closed transaction. So let's say that the average cash conversion cycle on one campaign, this is your CCC, is 3 months. Now, if you're thinking about, for example, Google, which is intention-based marketing because they type into the search blank homes for sale or what is my property worth or property values in X area, that's going to be a shorter cash conversion cycle. But if you think about Facebook, for example, that might be a 4 to 6 month cash conversion cycle. So from when they first sign up as a lead, right, to when they successfully end as a closed transaction, that might take 4 to 6 months. So the question is, which one should you do? And the answer is you should do both. Number one, it's a barrier of entry for your competitors because somebody's going to generate that lead. It might as well be you, even if you can't get to it in time. And number two, you're going to be in business 4 to 6 months from now, just like you're going to be in business 3 months from now. Now, what most agents are looking at is how do I get a transaction today? So in most markets, if you look, most agents are focused on the now business, the business happening in the next 30 days. And so if in your marketplace, let's say there's 2,000 agents and there's 1,000 transactions happening, right? That is everybody going for just this small piece of the pie. The further out you go, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, the less transactions or the less competition there are. Now, one of the things that I was taught early on is that the higher up you go, the less competition there is. So if you're shooting to be an average agent, there's going to be more competition all going after this business in the next 30 days than there is going out 3 months, 6 months, et cetera. So having an understanding of your cash conversion cycle is very important, especially if it starts to get out of whack, so you can go dive in and see what the heck's going on. Just looking at your cost per lead is kind of a false indicator. You have to look globally at these stats. You have to look at the cash conversion cycle. You have to look at the customer acquisition cost. And then again, you have to look at these things globally in your business so that, again, you can feel comfortable spending money knowing that you're going to get it back. And these are leading indicators and lagging indicators. The lagging indicator, of course, is the closed transaction. The leading indicator are these other metrics that you're going to want to keep an eye on so that you can know and start to make adjustments before things change and shift in your market. This is also very helpful as markets shifts occur so that you can be proactive instead of reactive. So that's what I got for you. Hopefully I added a lot of value. I know I kind of went fast. You might want to watch this video a couple of times. What I want you to do is start to track these metrics. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But having this tracked in your market is going to be one of the things that differentiates you between all of your competitors. And it's also an excellent thing to talk about in your listing presentations as well, because it positions you as an expert, which you are fast becoming. We'll see you in the next video.